We live in a world where many paranormal and mysterious events happen on a daily basis. Some of these events leave us more confused than before, and some take decades before they're finally solved. So today we'll be taking a look at 5 famous Australian mysteries. The Behringer. Long before the settling of people in Australia, the Aborigines had a legend of a giant creature called the Behringer. According to the description given to the Behringer, it's a creature with short arms that are almost useless and best fits a carnivorous theropod just like the extinct Tyrannosaurus rex. The Aboriginal people claim the beast devours camels, kangaroos and cattle in the tales they tell, and the mention of its name sends shivers down the spine of any Aboriginal. In the ancient Aboriginal rock art, one can find a bipedal creature used in describing the Behringer, which has a pointed tail, small arms, a huge mouth and 3 toes. The artwork differs from the one Aboriginals use in describing the camel. Also known as Old Three Toes or Mori Mori by the indigenous people living in the state of Victoria, the Behringer is avoided by most of the Aboriginal people to this day, and going back they would even leave their settlement if tracks of the creature were found. Over the years, different sightings of the Behringer have been put forward. One such report was in 1950 when a herdsman saw the remains of one of their cattle, and they said that it must have been taken down by a large unknown beast. With the help of their cattle dogs, they traced the 3-toed prints left behind by the creature until they got to a swampland where the scrubs were denser. They had to turn back when their horses and dogs refused to cross the swamp, probably sensing danger ahead. Another sighting was reported in 1985, when a family was travelling to Roper River Mission and they made a detour to sightsee. Just as they were about to resume their journey, they spotted 2 bipedal reptiles around 20 feet tall walking together across an open plain not far from them. From the recorded prints of this creature at different locations, it's between 2 to 3 meters in diameter. However, there hasn't been many sightings in recent times. As of today, the mysterious Behringer remains a mystery. The disappearance of Frederick Valentine. On the 21st of October 1978, a man by the name of Frederick Valentine disappeared under mysterious circumstances. He was flying across the Bass Strait in a Cessna aircraft while on a 230-kilometer training flight. At this point he'd already done around 150 hours of flying time, which made him an amateur pilot. He was confident in this type of flight, so he went ahead with the journey. On that day at around 7 PM at night, the pilot radioed into the Melbourne Flight Control Centre to report an unknown aircraft. He stated that it was following him at around 4,500 feet. The service responded and told him there was no traffic close to him at the time of the report. Valentine was adamant about what he saw, saying that a sizable unknown aircraft was closing in at high speeds, saying that it had 4 bright landing lights. He added that the aircraft that kept approaching him was metallic and shiny with a green light on it. Minutes later he reported that he was having problems with the engine, and when the service asked him to identify the aircraft once more, he replied it wasn't an aircraft. A noise like a metallic scraping sound interrupted before the transmission was cut off. Shortly after, a sea and air search was conducted around the area he was lost in, but nothing turned up. The case was closed after the Department of Transport investigated the case, but found nothing, assuming the disappearance to be fatal. 5 years later, a small part of a Cessna aircraft similar in range as Valentine was found washed ashore on Finlay's Island. According to his father, before the disappearance, Valentine believed in UFOs, and was worried by the thought of being attacked by one. UFologists believe that his aircraft was either destroyed by extraterrestrials or they abducted him. Interestingly, locals close to where he went missing stated they saw bright green lights around the same time. Some, however, have put forward the idea that Valentine staged his own departure. With all the theories surrounding the disappearance of Frederick Valentine, none have been able to give a solid answer for what happened. The Hawkesbury River Monster. If you're familiar with Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster from Scotland, then you're about to be introduced to what seems to be its long-lost cousin. The creature located in New South Wales, Australia lurks in the depths of the Hawkesbury River, and according to Rex Gilroy, who is an Australian naturalist and head of the Australian Unknown Animal Investigation Centre, he believes the creature to be living and utilising the Central Coast as a place for breeding. This creature is called the Hawkesbury River Monster, and many different sightings have been put forward over the years. It's known by the Aborigines who try to stay away from it. The folklore goes on to talk about a huge reptilian water monster that attacks women and children. Eyewitness reports over the years place the length of the monster to be between 7 and 24 meters, having 2 sets of flippers with a snake-like head. Their description can be compared to the prehistoric plesiosaur that went extinct around 70 million years ago. Ancient Aboriginal rock art dating between 3,000 and 4,000 years ago depicts the creature being 20 foot long. Rex Gilroy has been investigating the Hawkesbury River Monster for a considerable amount of time, gathering some mysterious accounts from individuals who guarantee to have seen the creature. One of such reports said that the 2 creatures came to the water's surface sometime in 1945. He described each as having a head around 10 feet long, with a pale yellowish underside. He put the total body length to be around 45 to 50 feet. A more recent account happened in March of 2010. This was when fishermen near Wiseman's Ferry witnessed the creature. They claimed to have seen a creature rise above the water and said it looked like a serpent, further saying the neck was around 2 meters in length. Shortly after making itself known, it swam into the depths. With a number of reported sightings, many hunters and cryptozoologists are hoping to locate and catch the monster. The National Film and Sound Archive of Australia. The National Film and Sound Archive in Australia is located in Canberra, and is Australia's living archive liable for creating, safeguarding and giving access to a national collection of duplicates of film, radio and TV. However, the building which the archive is currently located used to be the building originally constructed in the 1920s for the National Museum of Zoology. This was envisioned by American architect Walter Burley Griffiths. Sir Colin Mackenzie was in charge of the project. However, the federal government was no longer able to fund the project when they ran out of money during the Great Depression. This was barely into the time when the work had begun on the building. Mackenzie was entrusted with reconstructing how the structure could be utilised, and it was open to people in general as the Institute of Autonomy in 1931. The collections in the institute included the heart of a celebrated Australian racehorse, and Australian bushman Ned Kelly's skull. The institution became a tourist attraction in the 30s and 40s. After the death of Mackenzie, his remains were put away in the wall behind a plaque. Interest in the Institute of Autonomy diminished in the late 1970s. Years later, sightings of Mackenzie's ghost were reported by a number of witnesses. They claimed to have seen the silhouette of a well-dressed man coming out of the wall where his ashes are, walking around the building and then returning. Another report of a ghost sighting in the building is that of a little girl. She can be seen flying around in the old theatre. At another time, a band of ghost hunters from New South Wales visited the building to stay overnight. They reported that all the 4 batteries in their equipment drained down to empty at once. These events make the National Film and Sound Archives building one of the most haunted in Australia. The Devil's Pool, Australia. Near a little town of Behringer, Queensland, Australia is a natural pool. This is known as the Behringer Boulders. The nice surroundings of the environment is a haven for campers, hikers and photographers. But what most of them do not realise is that it's known as the Devil's Pool, as this place has a reputation associated with people passing away under mysterious circumstances. The Aboriginals dread the location as one of their legends about the pool is particularly devastating. According to the sad story, a beautiful young lady married an elder from her tribe. Not long after she got married, she met a younger man and soon fell in love. Shortly after, an affair took place. She decided to run away with the young man into the woods, but her husband, being an influential man, sent out men to look for her and bring her back. When they found out they were surrounded, she threw herself into the devil's pool rather than live a sad life without the one she truly loved. But it does not end there. The Aboriginals believe that she's still in the pool, looking for young men to lure to an early grave. Many young men have met their demise in the pool, with around 17 people drowning under mysterious circumstances since 1959, which some say gives credence to the legend. In one of the cases, a young couple stood close to the pool admiring the view, when suddenly the pool rose and swept the couple in. The woman survived, but the man was never able to get out. A more recent case happened in 2010 when a young man met his demise. It was said that an invisible hand pulled him backwards when he was swimming in a calm area. Every attempt to save his life proved tough and he eventually passed away from drowning. So what do you think of these Australian mysteries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and help us both grow in this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.